All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, after consecutive blowout losses, the Philadelphia Eagles headed to the Pacific Northwest looking to get back on track against the Seattle Seahawks. But instead of securing their 11th win of the season and getting back in the first place in the NFC East, the Eagles are now licking their wounds after suffering a 20-17 loss last night. Philadelphia could not make the key plays when they needed to, which included their defense allowing Seattle to drive down the field on a 10-play, 92-yard drive in less than 90 seconds, which was culminated when quarterback Drew Lock hooked up with rookie wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jingba from 29 yards out with 28 seconds left in the contest. And of course, it's going to be a long trip back east anyway, but that trip gets longer when you lose a tough game like that last night, like how the Eagles did. So now Philly's got to, at least they have the additional day, if you will, to get themselves prepped for the Giants because typically, a Monday night game, you turn around, you have a Sunday game. Obviously, with the Christmas weekend, the games have been spread out a little bit more, and that is an advantage for Philly right there. But nonetheless, this was a golden opportunity for the Eagles that went by the wayside. I know that they more than likely probably just focusing on their game, but I'm sure somebody knew that, hey, the Dallas Cowboys just lost to the Buffalo Bills, and this was an opportunity for Philly to get back in front of them in the East, and that's not the case. Of course, both Dallas and Philadelphia are both tied right now at 10-4. Dallas gets the tiebreaker due to the fact that the Cowboys do have a better division mark right now. Dallas is 4-1 within the NFC East, while Philadelphia is 3-1. But nonetheless, for the first time in 2 years, Nick Sirianni's rookie year as the head coach of the Eagles, Jalen Hurts' rookie year as a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, they've got a three-game losing streak on their hands. And speaking of Jalen Hurts, he was 17 of 31 last night for a buck 43, no touchdowns, two interceptions, and he did have 82 yards on the ground. But the fact that he didn't throw a touchdown and he also threw two interceptions obviously hurt this team. Uh, I'm not here to pounce on Jalen Hurts because I think the problems with the Eagles are bigger than the quarterback. I think this is a team issue. They just have not had the continuity all season long, and they're still 10-4, which they should be thankful for. And I've said this throughout the season. I've said Philadelphia has not played their best football yet, and they were still winning games. Now it's catching up to them. You figure again, you got punched in the mouth a couple of weeks ago at home, courtesy of the San Francisco 49ers. How do you respond to that? You go on the road last Sunday night and you get punched in the mouth once again by the Dallas Cowboys. And now when you're trying to fix, you know, your problems, you go on the road and you lose a heartbreaker to the Seattle Seahawks. So I really want to see how this Philadelphia Eagles team responds to this. Jalen Hurts, obviously made some critical comments following the Eagles' loss. And I said it was gut check time a couple of weeks ago. Now there needs to be more of a sense of urgency for this club right now. It's very important because you look at it, you're 10-4, but clearly, the seeding. Because if you don't win the NFC East, you drop from the 2 seed to the 5 seed. And I think this is vital for both the Cowboys and the Eagles to win this division. I mean, it's one of those where you could flip a coin if you wanted to see who it's more important to. But nonetheless, obviously, you get a home game in the first round of the playoffs. You then prolong the time before you would have to go to San Francisco potentially and have to face the 49ers. And I think both Dallas and Philadelphia are better at home than they are on the road. And I know that Philadelphia has lost 2 games at home this season. Clearly, Dallas is undefeated at home, but nonetheless, in my opinion, you could flip a coin to say who winning that division is more important for. But nonetheless, there needs to be a sense of urgency there. And for me, like I said a couple of weeks ago, following Philadelphia's loss to San Francisco, defensively, they have not been there this year compared to last year. And obviously, a lot of things have changed. Philadelphia, after their success last year, they lost both of their coordinators, both offense and defense. Shane Steichen got the Indianapolis job. Jonathan Gannon got the Arizona job. Okay. On top of that, we were talking about a record-setting defense last year with 70 sacks, and typically, whatever you do in the Super Bowl as a losing team, it's a carryover as far as, and I say that because the team that beat you showed the blueprint on how to neutralize you. And Kansas City, to their credit, did that last year. You're talking about a ferocious Eagles pass rush that still couldn't get to Patrick Mahomes on a bad leg throughout that Super Bowl. And I think defensively, the Eagles have lost their swagger since then, and they've never gotten it back. And to me, I think that is something that has hindered this team this season. It's a difficult fix in 3 games, especially when you haven't done it for the entire year. And I think Philly's going to have their hands full heading into the playoffs. And this is even if the Eagles win the division and get that 2 seed. They're still going to have a tall task on their hands because you look at it, San Francisco, plain and simple, they out physical them. You go back to the loss to the Jets earlier this season. That New York Jets pass rush frustrated Jalen Hurts and this offense all game long. The Dallas Cowboys jumped on the Eagles early a couple of weeks ago and pinned their ears back, and they came after them, and there was nothing that Philly can do. And we're not even talking about how bad the Philly's been on defense this year. And then going back to last night's game, Philadelphia's defense would routinely find a way to make those plays in those situations last year. That is not the case. And, just getting back to this team, that just not having it like they did last year. Philadelphia stepped on the field last year expecting to beat the brakes off of everybody. I think this time around, they're simply just trying to weather the storm through every contest. And there's a big difference. And this is the time of the year where you want to be playing your best football with the postseason right around the corner. So for Nick Sirianni and company, it's definitely gut check time. I'm not sure if there's enough time for them to fix their issues, but I will say this for Philadelphia: the schedule is very favorable for them coming down the stretch. Why? Because you've got 2 games with the New York Giants, and sandwiched in between those games is a home affair with the Arizona Cardinals. And at the end of the day, you don't have to travel that far. Clearly, the game this Monday with the Giants is at home in Lincoln Financial Field. The same can be said for your Week 17 contest with the Arizona Cardinals, and then of course facing the Giants once again in week number 18. That's a hop, skip, and a jump on the Jersey Turnpike up to MetLife Stadium. Now, one thing that the Giants have given the Eagles in recent years, they've been their elixir as far as what they need to get themselves right. And it's the same thing for the Dallas Cowboys. They've both feasted on the Giants in recent years in that division. And of course, the Giants once again are not a good football team. They're 5-9. And I want to see how this Eagles team takes the field come Monday afternoon on Christmas. Because I'll tell you like this: the way that the Eagles have been playing, if this keeps up and they allow a bad Giants team to hang around with them and get some confidence, you better believe that the folks in Philadelphia, who show up to the link that afternoon are going to let their feelings be heard. But it's one of those where it's too much talent on this team to lose 3 games in a row. It's too much talent on this team to just keep taking everybody's best shot and not doing anything about it. And I really want to see how this Eagles team can and will respond. It's all about dealing with adversity at times during the season. And right now, the Eagles have some adversity that they didn't have to deal with last season. And that's the beauty of the game. Just because you dominated one year does not necessarily mean that there's going to be a carryover to the next season. So for the Dallas Cowboys, clearly, they got punched in the mouth on Sunday. I'm not going to sit up here and hide that. And of course, the Cowboys know that. But if you're a Dallas Cowboys player, you're looking at it clearly like, hey, we just dodged a bullet because it was looking like after they got run off the field in Buffalo, literally, that the Eagles had the green light to get back in the first place in this division. Everybody thought, it was a guarantee that Philly was going to take care of their business against Seattle. Second straight Monday night game where the big favorite did not win. And it's one of those where Philly was unable to take care of their business. Now, with 3 weeks to go in the regular season, anything can happen. So it's going to be interesting to see whether it's going to be the Cowboys who are able to seize the moment. And Dallas has a tough game this weekend on the road against a good Miami Dolphins team, or will it be Philadelphia who's going to take care of their business? But nonetheless, like I talked about after the 49ers game, if this Philly defense does not get their act together, and so far they have not, I guarantee you it's going to be a short trip to the postseason for the Birds. And if they got to go on the road and do it throughout, it could be even shorter. But nonetheless, Philly let a golden opportunity slip by the wayside last night in the Pacific Northwest. And now they're licking their wounds, trying to get back on track against the Giants. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.